Student Radio Conference 2023. I'm here with Emil Franchi of Absolute Radio Noughties, and Radio 1 as well.
Just everything, just yeah. You name it, I'll do it.
Everywhere. Tell me if I missed any. Signal 1, Heart North East, Radio 1, Absolute Radio, and Absolute Radio Noughties at the moment.
I think just about, yeah. A brief stint at home in Darlington. Star Radio doesn't exist anymore. So all these stations that I just used to work for have just disappeared into thin air. So it's like, yeah, everywhere I go, I'm the Grim Reaper.
I was going to say, are you blaming yourself on that fact?
I'm the reason the radio is dwindling. I'm just going around, closing stations, and then just taking the next one.
Yeah, so
hopefully we're not going to close like any of those big ones because I currently work there.
Hopefully not, because I want to be there too, please. So that's one hell of a journey of different radio stations going through, but it all started with student radio for you.
Yeah, it was student radio volunteering and then hospital kind of on the side as well. So was very lucky to have a radio station called Radio Tyneside near the student campus as well. So I was able to do student stuff, but it was primarily hospital radio where I kind of did a bit more, one-to-one training. Yeah. Got a bit of a feel for how to do a show on my own, and then went back with those skills to student radio to try and do a bit more things like that. But yeah, we did the usual wild stuff in first year. First show never went out, server was down and did it to a brick wall. And then just kept going from there. We won an award as well. We got like a student media award, which was quite cool for best show. So
I remember talking to you last night because of course you hosted Demo Factor last night, which was great fun. And
I'm surprised you remember last night. I mean, I'm just like, I was blurry after a certain point. Yeah,
that's why I left before you guys. It's really daunting to put yourself forward for something like that. So when it comes to talking to the future of radio, what do you say when it comes to new presenters putting themselves out there? What advice would you give them?
I just think that you've got to throw yourself into everything. I think one of the biggest problems for student presenters is that you don't get that feedback, and if you don't go searching for it, then you do fall into a bit of being like, oh well, I did radio for a bit, but no one's ever told me to try and do more with it. So I know so many people from student level because I did like head of programming when I left NSR in Newcastle. That was like my final role, but so many presenters there who I was like, you could definitely do radio, you could do radio, and then they just go off and do standard jobs. I think fair enough, they probably get a better, secure job than most people in radio, but I think that the best thing for students to do is, like I say, get that feedback. Yeah. Use things like the Student Radio Conference, which is great for getting networking and everything. And nothing might come of it, but you go in and you get a bit more of a, I guess, like a feeling for wanting to do it. Yeah. I think when you're around like-minded people, it's really easy to just be like, oh yeah. Like even when I come to these things, I went to the one in Newcastle last year, and I just left a job, and I was like, I was just re-energized, being like, things are thriving, aren't they?
I was saying this to people last night. It's just basically a bunch of nerds who absolutely love something in the same room together. Just nerding out at each other.
Pretty much, yeah.
And it really reignites the fire and love for it. So with that in mind, and the huge change that you see in radio, particularly with like networking, local radio station acquisitions and stuff like that over time, when it comes to like the future of radio and getting those opportunities and air miles, community radio is a really good option, but what other suggestions would you give to try and help people kick down that door of massive networks?
I think at the minute we live in an age where obviously podcasts are flying. Anyone can start one. You might not get any listeners, but if you're putting something together where you're actually you're able to record links and do that. And then as well as that, we spent a lot of time in our houses for 2 years, so everyone started moving stuff home, and student radio started to do stuff from home. We showed what the capabilities were and how we can adapt in those. So you don't need a radio studio to do a radio show. So many people who were like at Demo Factor last night saying, I'm in third year, and it's like, you can't enter. Well, it's like, you've got the student radio stuff coming up. There'll be other opportunities as well to send those demos out. If it's just a case of talking over the end of a song and putting another one on, like when you voice track something, you can make a demo. And the other thing was that the community stations are great, but as well, it's never been a better time for getting yourself out there with TikTok, you know, and creating a brand. We all have like personal pages now where we can just do what makes us happy. We can nerd out on there about it doesn't have to be radio, but it can be anything.
Anything that interests you.
Yeah, and the joy with those things is that they almost work in your favour, because if something goes well, then it lands on a page of like-minded people.
Yeah.
You know, they might say, oh, they're watching what we do, but it's probably best that they do, because then they know what you like and they'll put you in the right positions of other people.
100%. And then you find like-minded people. There's always someone else who's also a fan of something that you enjoy.
Yeah, well, we were just nerding out with Pandora last night about not Pandora, just just chatting about Pandora. But she was saying how much she loves TikTok and how much she likes it, and it's a weird language that you get into. You know, people start talking in memes. Like we were doing that. You know, the dog with the long face. We were doing the Miss Piggy song. I can't do the high. Let me do it for you. There, it's basically like the thing. But that was like just saying that to each other and going, oh, it's like speaking a different language. But you know, it's a community, and there's so many out there where you can just do things like that.
So in the online world of everything is online now, as you say, you build a brand online, you talk about what you like online, and it could be something completely different to what you talk about on air sometimes as well. The future of radio, do you reckon it is to some extent online? Like you've mentioned podcasts already, do you reckon there's scope for it developing? Like, for example, there's Absolute Premium and other brands are doing the same thing. Do you reckon that's the way the industry might be moving?
I think so. I mean, obviously the premium things are very interesting. Talk about them quite a lot, getting people to sign up. But you know, when you're up against things like Spotify and the freedom of choice of music, then most people, certainly from a younger age now, unless you're really into radio, are just listening to their own music, and that's fine. You know, passion for music can then lead to wanting to talk about it on the radio, which is always good. But it's so hard to say. You know, I think the thing with radio is that it's very unpredictable. Just when you think it's going to be down and out and things are getting smaller, the change can sometimes give it a shot in the arm, and then it's back to normal. And yeah, I mean, as long as there's 190 people in a room, that's kind of all you need to get the next generation of radio in, because those jobs will change, and although there might be less, not all 190 of those people will end up working in radio, but if you get a handful of 50, then you are putting them out to stations now have maybe like 10 people max in on a day, and sometimes a lot of people from home. So if we take that demo factor crowd and scatter them across the country, then you know the industry's going to be in
just sift them out.
Yeah. You're going here, you're going up to Glasgow, you know, and all that. So yeah, I think it's so hard to say, Seb. You know, it's like you don't want it to change too much, you don't want it to disappear, but I still think that every year there are moments in radio that stand out. You see that in the ARIA nominations, you know, moments of the year. You see it in viral clips. People still talk about the radio because you can't beat human reaction. No, really, you know, if it's a funny thing and people are like, oh, this is brilliant, share it, it'll go viral. Radio still stands very tall in the online world, so yeah.
And going back to the idea and the fact that you have most recently been straddling multiple brands at once. A huge question that, for example, myself as a freelancer, I always struggle with, or subjects I struggle with myself, is not seeming too biased when you're balancing different brands at once. How do you combat that?
Well, I think it's just, you're on both, so, and unless someone says don't do that, you know, it's you just got to just do it. Better to seek forgiveness than ask permission, I guess. But I think that you know, the whole radio rivalry thing for me these days is pointless. You know, I don't see the need for wanting to, you know, alienate others by, you know, where you work. You know, I can't talk to them because they work here. I think when you come to the SRA conference last year, I think in a room that I was in, you had me, who was at the time unattached but ex-global. You had someone from Bauer there. You had some student radio people as well. You had people who work over in Northern Ireland. And we just sat there chatting about radio, and it's like, you can just do it. Everyone's got shared experiences, everyone's got similar tales, and I think that as long as you are showing enough passion for each thing, you know, if I'm on Radio 1 that day, I'll be like, right, cool, I'm on Radio 1 that day. If I see something that Greg James has done and I like it, I might put it on my story. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, well, I'm on Absolute later on, or, you know, I'm going to be on tomorrow, or things like that. And it's like, all right, well, I'll tweet about it, but you don't have to. I think it's dead easy, but you know, some presenters who do straddle both, I think you sometimes see that you don't see much of the other thing. And I think, you know, in a way, I always think as long as you balance it, then it's good. And I've not said the wrong station name on either brand yet. So.
Oh, you're a very lucky man, because I did that.
I think it's all happened at one point. I'll probably call it like Absolute One, or Radio 1 Radio or something like that.
My big blunder was being on the Hits Network and reading out the Radio 1 WhatsApp.
Oh, great.
That was real fun.
Well, at least they got some nice content in for Radio 1,
Just got the glare through the window. I was like, crap.
And just before you go, have you ever thought about launching your very own internet radio station? Surprisingly, it's a lot easier than you may think, especially when you make the time to chat to myself or a member of the Radio.co team. To do just that, head to our website, radio.co/demo, where I can talk about your plans, any questions you may have, and me and the team can really get you up to speed in launching your own internet radio station in literally minutes. It couldn't be easier. Why not check out some of our webinars, tutorials, help guides situated around me? Or why not visit our website, radio.co, or even drop me an email, studio@radio.co. Until next time, take care and happy broadcasting.